Corey LaJoy is out at Spire Motorsports after this season, baby. Let's fucking go. This is my win for the season. I'm so happy about this, dude. Especially after we were just talking about it last week where where we were just shitting on him, how he's literally never done anything in the sport of significance, like maybe 2 top 5s in his time. So I'll just say this, what he
It
said.
sounds like a driver we know. Hard.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about because I'm wearing a championship jacket here. I got another championship banner right there, so I don't think you're talking about
Got 2
Kyle
wins this
Busch.
season, and who likes to wreck himself out every single time?
1 points win, 1 win that actually counts. So let's remember that.
Yeah, let's
Don't
remember
count.
that. It doesn't count for shit.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Couch Potatoes, your favorite Redneck Boys edition. I am your host, Jay Cubs, joined by Big Country and maybe our friend Token Cowboy TJ at some point. I know he's got a lot on his hands wrestling a little kiddo, so we'll just kind of get going. And I know TJ will definitely have his thoughts to throw in. So let's start it out with a banger. Corey LaJoy is out at Spire Motorsports after this season, baby. Let's fucking go. This is my win for the season. I'm so happy about this, dude. Especially after we were just talking about it last week where where we were just shitting on him, how he's literally never done anything in the sport of significance, like maybe 2 top 5s in his time. So I'll just say this, what he
It
said.
sounds like a driver we know. Hard.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about because I'm wearing a championship jacket here. I got another championship banner right there, so I don't think you're talking
Got
about
2
Kyle
wins
Busch.
this season, and who likes to wreck himself out every single time?
1 points win, 1 win that actually counts. So let's remember that.
Yeah, let's
Don't
remember
count.
that. It doesn't count for shit.
Back to Corey. He said he took a lot of satisfaction in being an integral part of building Spire Motorsports into a respectable team on the grid, but the future won't involve him. He said, this chapter ends after Phoenix, and I'm excited to see what the Lord has in store for me next. Well, buddy, you're going to be joining us on the same couch. That's what you'll be doing.
What ride? What ride are you going to?
Yeah.
I swear to God, if the if Ross Chastain and that team just Team Trackhouse, if they take that extra charter that they might get and pick up Corey LaJoy,
Pick a Corey.
oh man, that's terrible. I'd rather have SVG over Corey LaJoy. Whatever.
Anybody would. I don't think that dude deserves a ride at all. I mean, at least not in Cup. Maybe go back down to Xfinity like a guy like Cole Custer did or something like that, So very excited about that. But yeah, that's kind of our news for this week. Not much else is happening. No other rides have been taken or lost. So sorry, Corey, but I guess this is a long time coming. So not really. Let's move into Indianapolis, boys. So we had a great one, honestly. I think it was awesome. Like we were talking about, I was excited for us to be back on the oval instead of the roval that they had been doing in the past, where TJ always likes to talk about Ross Chastain's cheating pass that he just sent it through that one corner and past 20 cars or whatever. But yeah, so let's start it out with stage one, which was kind of boring, honestly. It's where, I feel like we say that about a lot of stage ones where everybody's just kind of getting in line, figuring out their car. There's not a lot of battles, passing, stuff like that. But there was an interesting thing. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Chase Elliott, after breaking that streak of not having all those like pit road penalties, he got a blending infraction, meaning that he got up onto the track before he was supposed to, I guess. So in Indianapolis, you have to go all the way around this like pit lane, basically, all the way around to the backstretch. And so he came up in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and I guess got all 4 tires above the white line or something like that. And
one of the most annoying things about the game. Trying to race that game, trying to stay in that pit row lane. It's one of the most annoying things.
Right. And they talk about it's for safety, stuff like that. But he did get back down and finish going through the thing. But yeah, they did give him the penalty. So, man, he's after so much time of being on top of it, he's kind of fallen off as far as the penalties go.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chase Elliott this year. I mean, I that he had that good streak there for a little bit, and now I feel like his momentum's starting to go down a little bit. And
bit.
that's not good right before the playoffs start. So we'll have to see how that goes. I unfortunately was out of town for this race, so I'm hearing all this for the first time, just like the viewers. So
yeah.
I can't. I mean, we'll see how this race went. I know that Indy's always a good race to watch, especially when they bring back the OG track.
Yep. Well, good thing I'm here for you. I know there's nothing more. I know fans that there's nothing more important on a Sunday than NASCAR, but I guess some of our other couch potatoes. No, I'm just kidding, but I get it. Things happen.
Hey, fuck
TJ,
off.
did you have any other thoughts on stage one? I know you were like watching the recaps and stuff like that. Did you see anything?
All I know is Penske is going to be in the playoffs, both of them. So we're going to take it.
Just forget about
stage one.
Nobody cares about stage one. It's just Penske's in the playoffs.
Fucking lap before he's wrecked. So it's fine.
Well, let's move on to stage two then. Back into the race. So this was where things kind of started getting interesting. A lot of strategy, of course, plays another huge role in this. And what a lot of people were trying to do, Kyle Busch included, which made me really happy because I've been talking to you guys about it all year, where I wish he would try something, because when you don't have the speed, when you don't, when you aren't up there, like, try something on strategy, try something different. So he finally did, and it really paid off. So what they were trying to do was run their fuel as long as they could and space out the pit stop so they could try to eliminate one, which they did end up doing, and worked out because Kyle Busch was able to lead some laps in stage two and run up front and then position himself for the end of the race.
Which is about the best thing that he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have
have not seen that 8 car leading many laps this year. That's for damn sure.
You got to use the time when all the other teams are going in for strategy and to try to win the race. That's when he can lead the race.
Yep, that's
it's either leading.
You got to find a way to cheat.
Or just wrecking the fuck out. So.
Yep, 100%. I can't deny it. That's what you got to do sometimes to win a race, especially when you're not one of those top teams. So, but
hey,
I did just hear that a ride opened up at Spire Motorsports. So maybe I'll get my dream and we leave RCR here pretty soon.
The little short stint.
Yep. That we'll just pretend never happened.
He's gonna go roll with Penske next.
Yeah, I don't see that ever.
Yeah, Logano and him on the same team.
It might
that
be
would
good.
totally work out.
Actually win some races.
He might. I'm sure he would win a hell of a lot more if he were to be in that 22 versus the guy that's in there right now. That's for damn sure. I'd love to team him up with Blaney and Cindric. Oh man. But then moving on in stage two, that's where, like I said, the interesting things started to happen. A lot of cautions will start happening kind of towards the end of stage two into stage three. One of the first ones was Byron and Allmendinger getting collected after Chase Briscoe kind of checked up where he really shouldn't have and had no reason to. Forced Blaney into a bunch of different cars. Ryan Preece, he took it 3 wide, shouldn't have, and collects Byron and Allmendinger.
Because I watched the recaps, and they were saying the 22 caused the problems, and it actually was not.
That was a different wreck. This is
that was the wreck with Allmendinger and Byron. They were blaming the 22, but he was nowhere near.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They were doing that a lot of times. I love, when everybody's like, Fox is so terrible. They're so excited for NBC, but NBC's just as terrible, in my opinion, as far as their announcers. But I don't remember that, but you just did watch the recap. But it was definitely Preece and then Briscoe.
Yeah.
Because Briscoe checked up, Preece forced it. Yeah.
Logano for that.
No, it was definitely those SHR boys. Yeah, no, it was definitely the 14 and 41 that caused that. And unfortunately, take Byron and Allmendinger out of it. But then everybody's favorite driver.
They do something. It's fine.
Everybody's favorite driver, Bubba Wallace, ends up working out the strategy and winning stage 2. And actually happened to be a really good day for him getting those stage points. And not really a good day for Ross Chastain in that instance where, they're battling right at that cut line. So
yeah, no, that's what I'm looking up right now because after hearing that Bubba Wallace won that, I wanted to see where Ross was at.
Yeah,
because I know that he doesn't have that big of a lead for it. And I just, man, if he's got to win a race this year, man, and it's coming down to the fucking wire, and you can never like say like I'm gonna win or I'm gonna make the playoffs off of points. That's just, you can't ever trust that, right? I mean, Bubba went through that last year, so
yeah, especially when that last race of the regular season is Daytona, where anything can happen. You wreck out of that race, you don't have enough points. You're fresh out of luck as far as that goes. So yeah, definitely let us know when you find that, because I can't remember exactly, but I know I'm pretty sure it got pretty close with him in that bubble. So while you're doing that, we will move on to stage 3, where Martin Truex Jr. his season just continues to tread downhill. And it was so weird. I don't know if you guys saw this in the recaps or anything, because I still couldn't understand it. But it was like maybe he had a tire go down after contact with Chastain and Larson going down the backstretch and into turn 3. And he was pissed at Chastain, which I really didn't understand. Chastain, but it definitely, we definitely give Chastain a lot of flack for being that aggressive driver. And it was kind of an aggressive move, but we didn't, even the announcers and then myself, I couldn't figure out what contact Truex was so mad about.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it's just, I obviously didn't watch any of the race, and so, but it always seems to be fucking Chastain's fault, right? That's what it sounds like. I mean, come on, man. Like, even if you're saying it, like you said, you guys give Ross Chastain a bunch of shit. So if you're fucking saying it, then there's definitely something wrong there.
Yeah, maybe it's just the reputation, and he didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, Truex kept being pissed at the one, and if anything, it was more Larson that caused the rub and possibly where the tire went down for Truex. Then let's move on to that 22 driver that TJ's just been talking about and how great he is. Well, he did get wrecked out yet again. So I know he's got that one win and he's locked into the playoffs.
At least he gets
very
wrecked
lucky
out in a crowd, not by him fucking self.
But this one was, I think this was Hocevar's fault. Just going into turn 1, it's so narrow, and to take it 3 wide was kind of a fucked up decision on him. So he takes that and then clips Blaney, who Blaney actually makes an incredible save. I mean, he was sideways basically that whole turn and was able to avoid contact, never hit anything or anybody. But unfortunately, it did bump Logano and get him collected. And then Logano collected Jimmy Johnson, who just continues his streak of every time he's in a cup car this year, he wrecks out of it.
I mean, it happens every single time, I swear. That's what I was saying. Like, I don't know when it was, but I was saying like it's like ruining Jimmy's legacy. And you guys sat there and said, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. But I mean, every time he joins a cup race now, he wrecks out. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, like, I wasn't big of a NASCAR fan when Jimmy was obviously really good in NASCAR. So I don't know how good he really was. I just knew he was kind of the face of NASCAR there for a little while. So I do have some updated standings though.
Okay, let's hear them.
Ross Chastain is above Bubba Wallace by 7 points.
Ooh.
That's the cut line.
Jeez. Oh man, that is getting close. Mm-hmm. That is getting close. You're going to be needing some big finishes after this break that we have.
I just need another wall ride. I'm telling you.
Yeah. We'll see. But I think NASCAR officially outlawed it, or is actually going to follow the rule book now. We'll have to see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's to get Chastain in the playoffs, maybe they'll forget about it this time too.
I don't know if they
drives up ratings. So then, let's move on. Right, true. Right, Bubba will get the definitely get probably a lot more. But Chastain's got his following. I mean, a lot of non-NASCAR people even like him because he's, threw the punch, did the wall ride, everything like that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But hopefully for your boy. And that's another thing too. If one of those guys below the cut line, not even just Bubba, hopefully maybe the 8 car can maybe figure it out at Daytona or something where they're strong. If him or anybody else, gets that win from below that cut line, that just bumps Ross Chastain down a spot anyways.
Yeah,
so,
Kyle Busch is 112 behind the cut line, so
he's got to win for sure, but he's not making it in on points. Especially, I think the next race we come back from is Richmond, short track, which we all know how good RCR is on that. Even worse than they are on everything else. So
I mean, there's only 4 spots left for wins, so we'll
coming down to it, man.
Coming
down to it. Let's move on in stage 3, though. TJ's old boy or new boy. Have you decided yet, TJ, if you're RFK? Are you sticking with Penske now that they actually won a couple of races, or what's the update on your driver?
The thing is Penske is dominating this year, but
now they are.
I'm not going to go against Keselowski's team.
RFK.
Former Penske. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But I'm going to stick tried and true with Penske right now.
I was going to say, I mean, you're beating around the bush there, buddy. You're beating around the question.
You got to think about it a little bit. I know that Penske hasn't been dominating all year. And I remember when Buescher almost won a couple races, and then Keselowski won his race. You were singing a little different tune there, TJ, just a little bit. But
I mean, I'm not against both of them because one's a former Penske driver and he's got his own team. But we'll see how it goes.
We'll have to see.
It's better than whatever the fuck Busch and Chastain are doing. Both Chevys, so
they both definitely are doing better. That's for damn sure. That pisses me off, but yep, they are.
Chris Buescher's only 10 points ahead of Ross Chastain there, buddy.
Okay, it's fine.
TJ cannot wait to get to this. No, I can tell.
No.
We'll get there. But I was trying to talk about your boy first, Keselowski, because he was part of the different kind of strategy from everybody else. He ran super long. Like he went to the very beginning of overtime. I think he went almost 60 laps on fuel, and the fuel run they were saying was like 45. And so it looked like he was going to stay out for overtime and everything. And then he pulls away right before the green flag is getting dropped. So he follows the pace car down pit road, said he wasn't going to make it, which this actually fucks up Blaney because Blaney's going into that restart prepared to be the second place car. And obviously the leader gets to determine the restart when they get going and everything. So Larson gets pushed ahead. Blaney doesn't know what the hell's going on. So it kind of fucks up Blaney. And then not shortly after that, we had another big pileup that I know we can all celebrate that collected Denny Hamlin, John Hunter Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, and a bunch of others. So that's kind of what started overtime, which made fuel even harder for a lot of guys. And then we get into it. So Larson and I believe Blaney started on the front row to start the overtime restart. And
he did, but he was still the second car. They gave the first car to Larson, which I did watch the in-car view of the radio with Blaney, and he was not happy. He called Larson NASCAR's what did he say? NASCAR's golden child, I think.
Oh yeah,
Golden Boy. Yeah, he called him Golden Boy. That's what it was. He called him Golden Boy. He's NASCAR's Golden Boy. Yeah, so because they threw the flag right as Larson passed him. After Keselowski went into the pit, and Blaney was like, why are we even throwing a caution? There was no need to throw a caution there. I mean, Keselowski was going down into the pit row anyway. He was getting out of everybody's way. There's no reason to throw it. And Blaney was heated about it and called Larson NASCAR's Golden Boy.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin was talking about, I've never seen a guy that switches up their personality as much as Blaney when you put on that helmet. Like Blaney gets like nasty in behind the wheel and on the radio and stuff like that. But then in person, he's like the nicest guy ever. But continuing on with some more controversy, the way the race ended, a lot of people were pissed about. Now, it was just kind of terrible timing. I think NASCAR was trying to let the race finish under green, and they just couldn't. And because Ryan Preece, he ended up spinning out and then couldn't get going again. I think it was another gas thing. So they were trying to see if he could get going so that they could let the race finish under green. They didn't, so they could have thrown the caution with 2 to go, but then Larson took the white flag. They're trying to let it run. And then he gets, I think, almost to turn 2 before they finally throw the caution during the white flag, which gives Larson the win, becoming the first 4-time winner this season.
So Priest, they could have thrown the caution before.
Yeah, they could have, but they were trying to like let him get going again because it looked like he kind of could. He was struggling, but the car was inching a little bit, so he's trying to get it fired up again. And
when
they
did
just couldn't.
So when did he spin out? Like, where was Larson when he spinned out?
Larson was, I believe, turn 3, probably further, like turn 4 on the front stretch. And then Priest was on the back stretch. So I mean, they were going to come back in.
Yeah. But like there was, it's almost. That's great speech. But yeah, it's almost like they could have. It's like a split-second decision, I guess. I didn't know if it was like a longer time. Like they just sat there and waited until Larson passed, and then he's really NASCAR's golden boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's like it wasn't split second, but I mean, at the same time, if you or I were up there in the booth, had to make that decision, right? You'd be like, oh fuck, what do we do? What do we do here? Like, is Priest going? No, we got to decide, or So it was definitely like quick. It wasn't like. It was a little bit longer though than like a split second where.
Well, yeah, they've got a long
they just had
stretch.
To. Yeah, exactly. So
until they hit that start finish.
Yeah, that's what a couple of fans were. I'm not too pissed about it. Like you're saying, it is a quick decision you got to make, and I think it ended up being the right one. Maybe you throw it a little bit earlier if you can, but again, you want to get that car going so that it finishes under green. You don't just want to throw a caution when you don't need to, because then that's gonna cause even more controversy, I would think.
Well, I mean, kind of, but I mean, it still puts, because how far ahead was Larson?
Of the second place guy?
Yeah.
It wasn't too far because it was a green, white, checkered finish. It was overtime, so
right. But was there a chance that the second place guy was going to catch him?
I believe so. I can't really remember. So this kind of got screwed up on my end because the race got delayed because of a red flag, and then I think it was the same day that Joe Biden dropped out or something. And so then there was all this news that had to come on at like 4:00, and it switched over to USA, and I don't have USA. So I kind of missed that, but I don't think it was that far. I think it was, based on what I've heard, like from kind of the chatter and stuff too, like, I think it was Reddick that finished in second, could have got him possibly under green. Larson probably was going to win the race anyways,
But that's what I was saying. Like, if there was a chance that the second place guy could have caught him, then you throw the caution flag before the white flag, because there was always going to be a chance that he could have, right? You don't want to throw a caution in the white flag if there's a chance of somebody passing the first place guy, right? Because then that just always sucks. Yeah. So I mean, obviously when you have to, but if there was a chance that they could have thrown it before the start finish, and there was a chance that Reddick could have caught Larson, then I mean. That just sucks. So
yeah, it's definitely a shitty situation no matter what. It's too bad. It seems like we maybe had some technical difficulties or something, because TJ was left us. We're not sure. We'll have to see if he's able to come back, but I know at least he got his jabs in about this. So too bad he's not here for it. But so let's talk about it. Kyle Busch, I wanted to save the best for last for everybody else, the worst for me, because, but it is what it is. It's just this season, but he's running in 6th place. And this was before the overtime finish. So this was the caution, I think, to set up overtime, if I remember correctly. and he's running in 6th place, having a good day. I mean, 6th place for Kyle Busch is fucking amazing. Now, he was catching Hamlin. They didn't show this on like the screen because it was the end of the race, so you're showing the leaders, right?
Well,
But
you would think, but sometimes they don't do that.
yeah, right. But he was catching Hamlin. I could see, like, I was watching the ticker and stuff like that, seeing their times and everything, how far behind they were. And I guess he was a little frustrated at Hamlin that Hamlin wasn't, letting him by, which like, it's the end of the race, so you're not going to get that, nice treatment. So I don't know. But he gets told on the radio, like, hey, I know you're annoyed by this, but this is still a great day for us. Just don't do anything crazy. Big picture. Think about the big picture. We need these points, yada, yada. And that was on the back stretch. And then in turn 3, he sends it way too fucking hard, goes way too low, isn't able to hold the corner, spins himself out, and wrecks into the wall, ending his day. And he would have probably got a top 5 anyways, because Brad ended up running out of fuel. So that's why I was sitting there. I'm like, hey, Brad's probably going to run out of fuel. We'll get that top 5, even if he can't pass Hamlin. So fuck. I mean, we've been talking about this all year. It's always something. And sometimes it's his, crew. Sometimes it's mechanical failure.
This time it was
not
definitely
this
his
year.
ego.
Yeah, not this time. Yep, this time it was all him. The crew his crew chief like I said, used that different strategy, and that's the only reason that he was up there. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he wasn't a 6th place car all day, that's for sure. So literally it was just him this time. And fuck, I can't believe it. I mean, it's just the 8th season this year. It's just how it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely been a season to forget for Kyle Busch. I mean, how many wins did he have last year? He only had the one, right?
3. He had 3.
He had 3 last year? I thought he only had one.
He won Fontana, Talladega, and then Gateway.
Didn't he win Dirt Bristol?
Oh, that was 2 years ago. That was when he was still in the 18.
Oh, that's right.
I think that was his only race.
Because I made fun of you. I made fun of you because he was talking about walking into wins, and then he walked.
Yeah, and then Reddick and Briscoe wrecked, and he walked right into it. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I thought because I mean, it's definitely the worst season we've seen by Kyle Busch by far. It's definitely been a struggle all season, which, I mean, I'm not complaining about it. But,
I know. Like I said, save the best for last, and it's too bad. I know TJ would have loved this part, but yeah, it is a season to forget for Kyle Busch fans, and for everybody else, this is the season that you've been hoping for your entire time since Kyle Busch has joined NASCAR. So there you go, you finally got it. But let's just move on into the power rankings, because we're just going to sit there and talk about the same guy that's still in 20th. Which I don't know that it's deserving anymore, and especially because, like I said, this was a time he fucked up. Like, he had the chance to be a top 5 car, maybe move up a couple of spots in the power rankings if he did that. And I think that NASCAR is just keeping him in there because of his name. That's the only reason they're keeping him in the power rankings. I don't think he deserves that 20th, not at this time. I know he's kind of put together some decent cars, but when I know I do the power rankings more on the driver than anything else. I know, like, we do a little bit like the crews and everything, but when the driver fucks it up, no, you deserve to drop out of the top 20 in this instance.
No, and I mean, the problem is that it's like he wants to get better too, because he's been driving with he's had a top 10 car in the last month. You know what I mean? He's had a couple of them. One that should have been in the top 10 and got wrecked out by Corey LaJoie. And then, then he had the top 10 finish, which put him back in the top 20, in my opinion.
Yep.
And then now you have this where his ego is too big. And I mean, I don't know why you race that hard. I understand that you're down on points, but it's 1 point. You know what I mean?
One position, yeah. And you got to know that it's just not the risk reward. The risk is way worse than the reward.
There's no way that he was catching the leader. There's no way he was going to catch the leader. So why fight for the 1 point?
Yeah, if you got to a caution and, I don't know, things worked out and everybody's bunched up, but he was the caution that put it into overtime. So
yeah.
there's no reason to do it for sure. And then I forgot to mention, but so we are on the 2-week break with the Olympics going on. NASCAR took a big, long 2-week break. So we're going to be without NASCAR for a couple of weeks, which sucks. So no odds this time. So we'll just kind of power through the power rankings. So don't make fun of me for skipping them this time because they aren't there. But let's
You're
move
just
on.
lucky. You're just lucky. You know, there's you
Yep.
always try. You always try.
This week I can't fuck up because they're not there. So, but let's move on to number 15. Let's jump on up to TJ's boy Joey Logano, who drops 2 spots from the previous week. Pretty bad day for him overall. Obviously got caught up in that wreck. He did only collect 3 points on the day, finished 34th. So can kind of understand him dropping down a couple spots here.
Yeah, I mean, still the one win's holding him up there. The one actual win, not the All-Star race.
Exactly.
And that's definitely holding him up there. I think 15 is good for him.
Definitely. Well, let's go on up to 14, who was one of the spots that usurped Joey Logano, Mr. Ross Chastain. So he goes up for one position. Not much really to say. I can't remember where he finished in this race. He was up there in the front for a little bit, kind of similar to like Kyle Busch, just based on how strategy had worked out, cautions and things like that. So I think it's more just because Joey Logano had a worse day, you move him up. But yeah, right in that 14, right in that sweet spot where we say every week, Ross Chastain finishing basically in 12th, 13th, 14th every week. So I think a good spot for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been his season, right? I mean, it's a good spot for him to sit at. It's been his whole season up to this point. Like, there's nothing to change it, right? So,
right.
I mean, he did finish in 15th. So,
yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fuck, man, he needs to do something. I don't know what's wrong from last year to this year. I don't know what's going on because it seemed like he had a stronger ride last year. And now I was super excited for this year because he's got 2 big sponsors now in Wendy's and Busch, and which Wendy's, I think Wendy's is more sponsoring Suarez's car.
And SVG too.
And
when
SVG
he comes in.
Yeah. So, and I haven't really seen Ross run a Wendy's car this year. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they might have had him just as one of the contingency sponsors, like in his quarter panel or something like that.
Yeah,
but not a Wendy's car.
He's been the Busch ad all season long, and Busch, as we all know, is a huge sponsor of NASCAR. It's always a huge one to have. He has the Team Trackhouse got so many sponsors, so many big sponsors, and I don't see why their rides got worse. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Even Suarez, I feel like, I know he did get the win, but it was, like we talked about, by mere inches and at a super speedway, which anything can happen there, right? And Ross Chastain has definitely regressed from even the past 2 years, I would say, because I think his first year in Trackhouse, he was like, kind of a surprising, like out of nowhere, but he was leading a lot of races and winning some races and stuff like that. And last year too. And it's been kind of weird to just see him just not do anything and be like that, that just consistent driver at least, but not where you want to be consistent. Like we say, 10th to 5th or 11th to 15th, pretty much every time.
Yeah. And I mean, like the first season that he joined, I mean, the Vegas race, the first race that I've watched in person for NASCAR, he led like that whole damn race. He led the whole race, and nobody knew who he was. Like I was even asking you. I was like, "Who's driving the number 1 car?" Yep. And nobody knew who he was.
I didn't even know. Yeah,
I asked long time, like TJ's family. I went down there with TJ's family that year, and nobody knew who he was. And then I finally figured out who he was and his his personality and everything, and that's where I became a fan. It's I don't know, man. It's just the regression is crazy.
Yeah, it's sad. Hopefully they can pick it up. Like you said, you don't want to rely on the points, especially when you got so many guys that still can, win and bump you out of it. You don't want to be the 16th guy ever. If you're going to be in points, you want to be, 13th, 12th, whatever it is, depending on how many winners you got, and 100 points above. That's when you can feel a little good, but not right now for sure. So let's move on into the top 10, which is Mr. Alex Bowman. At 10th, he drops down one spot. Not much to really say here. I think he had a decent race. He's coming off the best two races, like we talked about last time, where he got the win and then he got a third place finish, I think, at Pocono. So probably a good spot for Bowman. I might put another driver, like I might put him of another driver we're going to talk about here soon, but not too terrible at 10 for Bowman, in my opinion.
No, and I mean Bowman's kind of turned. He like you were talking about. He had the consistency in the top 10 for a lot of the year, and then he kind of put something together where he was getting more top fives and stuff like that towards the end. Now, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a toss up for me between Bowman and Busher.
Mm-hmm.
I like Busher at 10. He's probably, he's in between Ross and Bowman. We don't have the full power rankings here, but
Yeah.
I think he's got to be at 11th. But I feel like it could be a toss up between Busher and Bowman.
I could definitely see that too. And again, you get that, like you always say, you get that win that maybe gives you the bump over Busher. But yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Let's move on to number 9, which is Brad K. He stays put at number 9 from last week. Again, a thing that I don't like have a really big problem with. He was able to get out there, run out front. If things went a little bit differently, maybe he wins that race, and we're talking about him a little bit higher. But he has kind of been so recently, so I wouldn't be too mad. I think he's another one of those guys. I think we talked about it last week when it was like 9 through 11 or something like that, where you can just, swap any of those guys pretty much.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel, let me ask you this. Would you rather have a driver do what Brad did when he's out of fuel, or would you have a guy stay in the fucking line like Larson did?
What do you mean?
Wasn't it Larson that stayed in on the
Oh,
restart?
yeah. When when
wrecked the
Kyle
whole
got
field.
wrecked from that. Yeah. I think that, obviously I think the more respectable thing to do is to do what Keselowski did, and pull off and get out of the way when you just know you're not going to be able to do it. But at the same time, I don't know, because they both got the win, so like you can be a little more ballsy with stuff like that. And Larson obviously has now 4, but I think 3 at the time that he made that decision, and so obviously he had plenty of insurance. I think it's kind of a dick move to be able to to stay out there, and then when you probably know you're not going to be able to make it, and then fuck up so many other people's day instead of just yourself.
Yeah, and I mean he's we'll talk about Larson a little later, and we can get into it more then. But yeah, I was just seeing like, because I haven't really seen very many people get mad at Brad over what he did.
Yeah.
It was more NASCAR as a whole, but
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't ever mad at NASCAR? They do some stupid fucking shit all the time.
They sure do. You never know what they're gonna do and the decisions they're gonna decide to make at certain times and not at other times. And yeah, definitely. Let's move on to number 8, which is Martin Truex Jr. He stays put at number 8 in NASCAR's power rankings, but I think he's trending down. I mean, he obviously he didn't have a great race. He caused 2 cautions. Once he had that first caution, he was never able to get up to speed. And then obviously he throws the second one and isn't able to finish the race. So I think he probably finished in the 30s or something like that. This is the guy I would say, like, I would put over, like I'd drop him down at least a couple of spots, because I'm going to give Brad and Alex Bowman the nods for having that win. I know Truex was consistent to start, but he has fallen off in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I definitely think that maybe you could, because I mean, Alex Bowman has the win, Brad has a win. You could definitely put them over him. He is, what is that? Like almost 56 points above Ty Gibbs in the point standings. Uh-huh. So I mean, he's almost pretty secure for the playoffs. He's at 108, compared to like Ross Chastain being at the cut line with 7 points above Bubba.
Okay.
So he's almost certain, kind of.
Yeah,
maybe.
like that I was talking about earlier, where you want to be that if you don't have a win and you're making it in on points, that's the guy you want to be, is the one that's, you said 108 above the cut line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you would think as long as nothing drastic happens, he should be able to make the playoffs too. But yeah, it's just this retirement season just is not going the way I know Truex wants it to go.
Well, and I mean, it didn't go the way. Wow, can't believe I forgot his name. The
Harvick,
guy that just Harvick. I mean, Harvick didn't
yeah,
have the best season either
no,
to end his
I think
career.
he might have got like 2 wins and like towards the end of the season or something like that.
I
I
thought
don't
it
think
was
he
just
made the
one. I thought
playoffs.
he.
Might have been one. I can't. Maybe I'm thinking of a different season because I know he kind of has struggled like for the past few seasons or his last 2 or 3 seasons. I think he got a win, but yeah, it's kind of that similar thing, and it's like I don't want to say it, but maybe it's where like Kyle Busch is at. It's just that new age is coming in, and the older guys are just kind of, and everybody kind of does. Even Jimmy when he was in the 48 car, like his last year. Even still racing at Hendrick, he lost the low sponsorship, which was huge, and he never competed for a win in his last season. It kind of happens to these older guys. You see a lot in NASCAR. So
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I definitely think Martin Truex is trending down. You could definitely put Alex Bowman above him. You could put Brad above him. He could fall back to 10, maybe even 11.
yeah, I'd have to agree. Well, let's get on your hot button shit, as Feist likes to say in our podcast, because I know you feel strongly about this guy. So he drops down a spot. He got caught up in that wreck that we talked about. William Byron at number 7. So take the floor, Wesley. I don't know. We've gone over it like so many freaking times. I mean, it's just the same shit basically. Like he's
It's just
got
the
the 3
disrespect,
wins.
man. It's just
He
disrespect.
I think so. And now I definitely get like him, like I think you've been saying like he should be like the 4th guy with the other 3 guys that have more wins or the same amount of wins as him, because he's been trending down. He actually hasn't led a lap since Charlotte, that race that got rained out, where Larson tried to do the double. So that was kind of wild to read that little stat, but still think you got to give him a little bit more love with those 3 wins. They still count in the season. You know what I mean? It's not like it was last season. So
Yeah, no, and I
I
mean,
think give him a little more love.
William Byron. I mean, it's 3 wins on a season, man. Like I don't care if they came early or not.
Yep.
3 wins on a season is a fucking fantastic season. And
Right.
now, obviously, we see Larson has 4, but Larson's.
On
I don't know
another
if you,
level, for sure.
I don't know if you can call Larson, being the best driver we have in NASCAR now, or if he's NASCAR's golden boy, like Blaney said. But and
Yep.
everything just goes his way. But I mean, I just feel like Byron should, at the very least, needs to be at 5. Like I understand the downhill trend and not leading a lap since Charlotte and all that stuff. I get it, but you can't put him past 5. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
I don't think so either.
there might be better racers right now than him, but he still has the 3 wins.
Yep.
So
Got to have the results to speak for it, right? So, well, let's move on to number 6, which is another guy with those 3 wins. He did move up 2 spots, got a top 5 at Indy, but he did have those. We talked about it, Christopher Bell, where he had those races that he just kind of kept having random things happen that didn't go his way, but still, I think a little low for Christopher Bell at number 6, I would say.
no, I mean Christopher Bell needs to jump up to at least 4. I mean he's had a fantastic season. He's had a good car all season long. Like there might be a few races here and there, but he's been competing all year long in the top 10. I don't know if I've gone a race this year without hearing Christopher Bell's name. So I mean, he needs to be up at least 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be able to continue to run strong, and I think he'll win definitely at least another race, if not 2-3 more races possibly by the end of this season. He's just that strong of a driver. So let's move into the top 5, which starts out with Denny Hamlin at number 5. Drops down 1 spot. He did get caught up in that wreck. I think I wouldn't call it trending down, but he hasn't been as dominant lately. So
I just don't think he's been as aggressive.
Yeah, he's kind of got those 3 wins. It's kind of just been lackadaisical. He's been up there. He's been like he won stage 1. I think he won a stage in Pocono where he's always been strong. Had a chance to win that race. So like he's
And
been
then
up there, but it just seeming like it's kind of lackadaisical lately for Hamlin. I'd still
frustrated
probably
Kyle
put
Busch
him.
enough.
Yeah. I'd still put him above Chase Elliott, who's at number 4, who also dropped down 1 spot. We've also talked about that. That's another hot button about him being up that high consistently in NASCAR. So I might swap at least those 2 drivers.
No, and I mean Denny deserves to be in the top 5. Definitely not at 5. He's had a strong ride all season, and I don't think he's trending down. He's just becoming, complacent with where he's at in the
Yeah.
season.
Yep.
Which I mean could be a good or a bad thing. I hope it's more of a bad thing because fuck Denny Hamlin. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yep.
don't know.
Caused Kyle Busch to get wrecked, so fuck him for sure.
That's just Kyle Busch's pride
That's
right there. That's all that was.
So stupid, but we've already talked about it. Let's get into the top 3, which number 3 is Ryan Blaney. So he continues to ascend his way up this leaderboard. It wasn't too long ago that we were talking about him in like 12th or 13th place. Or I remember I was so mad because it was like he stayed at 7 or something forever, and they moved him down. That was my hot button in the power rankings, like for weeks, maybe months, was that he was at 7 above drivers who have wins and stuff, and he hadn't been that strong. Well, he's definitely turning it on now. Obviously, has the 2 wins. He didn't end up leading a lap in this race, but he actually collected the most points. So he was consistently up there in the front, finishing stages and stuff. Obviously had the chance to win if things maybe went a little bit more his way there at the end. But I think I kind of like Blaney around this spot. I think he's definitely turning it on. He's already won more races, I think, because I think he only won the 1 race last year. And because
Yeah.
like you always say, he didn't win the championship race. That was Mr. Ross Chastain. So yeah, but I kind of like him up here towards the top. I think he deserves it. I think he's a little bit stronger, and he's hitting it at the right time. Getting ready for
No,
the playoffs.
I think that Ryan Blaney at least needs to drop back to 5. I mean, I know he's turning it on. He has only 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ryan Blaney's probably the only guy that you could say could be over Byron. That's it. I
Yeah.
would say, just because, like we said, Byron's fallen off a little bit. He still has the 3 wins, but I still think that Ryan Blaney could be the only guy that you could put over him.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Ryan Blaney has been a really good driver and he has 2 wins, so he's basically right behind Byron. So yeah, I mean, I think 4 or 5 maybe for Ryan Blaney. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I can see that for sure too. Well, let's finish out the top 2. So Tyler Reddick drops down 1 spot from number 1, which we already talked about last week about how you put him up there. He's continuing his super strong run. He hasn't got more wins, but I know we talked about it last week. He had all those top 8 finishes. So he's got, I think, 8 of the last 9 races. He's finished in the top 8. And he got a 2nd place here at Indy. Had a chance maybe to win if that, the whole caution thing goes a little bit differently. But he continues to run up there. He doesn't have all those wins like we've been talking about. But yeah, I don't like him at 2, but he's definitely, if things went his way, you could definitely be like, oh yeah, he's the 2nd best driver if a couple races went his way and he had those wins. But they haven't, so I wouldn't put him that high.
Yeah, and I mean, I just feel like there's better rides. You know what I mean? I feel like Denny Hamlin has a better ride. I feel like Kyle Larson has a better ride. I feel like recently Ryan Blaney's had a better ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know Tyler Reddick has been looking really good, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a few rides that are a little bit better than him. I don't think he drops out of the top 5. I mean, I'm putting a lot of guys up there, so
Yeah.
tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that Reddick deserves to drop out of the top 5 necessarily. He has had a strong ride. I just wouldn't put him at 2.
Yeah, I don't think 2's quite there yet. If he gets more races, which I definitely think he can, I mean, the dude has proven, I think all his wins now are Like he's won on every type of track. So like dude can do it anywhere. So definitely a guy that you can root for, and I think will like be able to win, and we can talk about him. Okay, yes, now he's got the 3 wins. I can see you put him at 2 because he's got so many top 5s. He's been consistent, yada yada. But
maybe he's just been wrecking out recently because he can't see over the steering wheel.
God, every time you see him on TV, I feel like so bad for the guy. Especially when Michael Jordan's your owner too, and you're a foot shorter than him.
6'7" Michael Jordan.
Yeah. But let's finish it out. Number 1, obviously, finally back where he belonged. Kyle Larson becoming the first 4-win racer of this year. So I don't think he should have dropped last week, but yes, obviously he's the best driver in NASCAR this year, I would say.
Yeah, and I think you could have made the argument about Denny Hamlin for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but Kyle Larson just he stays aggressive. He's always been aggressive. He got his 4th win. Now I think he's secured as the number 1 driver for the rest of the season, honestly.
Right, pretty much. And it doesn't look like he's slowing down. I don't think we could be talking about this guy having 6, 7, wins if things go his way.
It's always good when
maybe even more.
It's always good when you're NASCAR's golden boy.
Yeah, right. You'll definitely, you'll get more wins. But let's go into my power rankings. So I'll do the same thing, give you a 5 at a time, let you react. So I'm going to keep my top 3 the same still. Kyle Larson 1, Denny Hamlin 2, and Christopher Bell 3. Now, then I'll go Tyler Reddick at 4, who I'm going up 1 spot from last week. And then I'm going to finish with Ryan Blaney at number 5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would keep that, except I would probably switch. I'd probably put Ryan Blaney at 5 and maybe your number 6 or 4. Yeah.
Okay.
I put Blaney at 4 and then maybe your number 6 spot, William Byron at 5.
And then
just
put Reddick maybe
3 wins.
Down to 6.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's hard though, because like you were saying, you feel like Reddick is a top 5 driver, but like you say, he's got the 1 win. All of those other guys, they got multiple. So I can see that. I like him just a little bit more. I think that he's been a stronger overall car, so that's why I put him up there. But then, like you're talking about, number 6 for me is William Byron. I think that's down 1 spot from my last week, and then I'm keeping Chase Elliott number 7. And then we're going to switch a little bit from NASCAR like I was talking about earlier. I'm going to go Brad K at 8, Alex Bowman at 9, and I'm going to drop Truex down 2 spots to number 10.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I don't have anything bad with it besides, I'd put Tyler Reddick there at 6. I agree with moving Martin Truex down. He hasn't had the best of ride lately and still hasn't gotten a win yet. So,
yep. And it's trending down, right? Trending the other direction, not the right direction. So I think that the power rankings should reflect that. Don't just keep him up there, kind of like the Kyle Busch thing with the name. So
yeah,
let's go into the next 5. So 11, Chris Buescher, 12, Joey Logano, 13, Ross Chastain, 14, Ty Gibbs, and then I'm going to go 15, Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an argument with this one. I think Chris Buescher deserves to be at 11, if not 10. Yeah. Because like I said, you can make the argument that him and Bowman, you could switch them. If Buescher had the win, you could switch him and Bowman.
Yeah.
I have no problem with this. Joey's been driving pretty hard lately. Ross Chastain's been on a downtrend. Ty Gibbs has been pretty level with where he's at for most of the season now, ever since the beginning. And I'm okay with this list.
Yeah, and I think this might be one of my biggest differences because I think Logano's 3 above NASCAR in my power rankings, and I think just because you do got that win, and he has been, as much as I hate to say it, it's not like every race, but I feel like every other race he's in the top 5, top 10. Like he's got somewhat of consistency.
He's been racing a little bit more aggressive, I feel like, recently. So
yeah, well, let's finish it out. I'm going to go Chase Briscoe at 16. He's kind of that guy that's somewhat consistent, fringe top 10 guy. I feel like every week, depending on it, we'll see, how much better he can be in that 19 car next year. And then I'll go Cindric and Suarez. So 17, 18. I'm going to bump Todd Gilliland up there into 19. I think he was another one. He was on the same strategy as Kyle Busch, and he just didn't fuck it up. And I think he got a top 10. He might have finished 6th where Kyle Busch was. So I'm going to put him at 19, and then I'm going to put Josh Berry at 20 and take my boy Kyle Busch out of it because of like the reasons
don't
that
call
I
him our
said.
boy. Don't call him our boy.
Yeah, I noticed real quick. I was like, "Oh boy, I'm gonna get murdered for that one." But yeah, same reasons. Like I'm not gonna, even as a Kyle Busch fan, I'm not gonna give it to him just because of his name. Like you can't fuck that up. You had a top 5, I'm pretty sure he would have got that top 5 even if it stayed green. I don't think Brad could have made it, and you could have had that, and you fucked it up. So drop you out of that.
See, but I mean, even with the top 5, I still think he could only jump up to 19. Because Cindric and Suarez they still have a win, and I feel like Chase and Briscoe and Wallace have had better rides than him all season. So I really think that if he got a top 5, the furthest you can move him up is one spot, according to NASCAR's rankings.
NASCAR would have moved him up probably like 7 again, something like that. But
yeah, all right. I got no problem with this last 5.
Yeah,
you didn't ask me my opinion on your last 5.
I did not. We just started talking about Kyle Busch and got depressed. Got distracted. I know we didn't have the odds for me to skip, but I had I got to skip something somehow. I got to find a way to do it.
Gotta fucking skip my little piece out. You know what I mean?
But no, you said no real problems with that.
I got no real problems. Maybe I put Corey LaHoy over. I might.
Sorry, we didn't talk about him. How many drivers are in the field? Like 38 or something like that. Yeah, maybe he's 37. Maybe
but. I might put him at like 23, just above Kyle Busch, just to piss you off.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Well, that was Indianapolis and the updated power rankings. Like we said, we're going to be on a couple week break here, so we're just going to take that break with NASCAR, kind of enjoy it, and then we'll get back to you once we got another race to talk about. So thank you for joining us again, Big Country. Sorry we had the stuff happen with TJ. Man, we got to fight through these technical difficulties. They seem to pop up, and it's always something different. It's never the same, but hopefully we'll get them more figured out. So thank you all for joining us. Make sure to follow the podcast on all the socials, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok, your favorite couch potatoes on all those. And then check out the episodes dropping on YouTube and Spotify. We're hopefully going to be getting a little bit more consistency, got the schedule kind of figured out. So I think we'll be dropping these. I believe it's either Wednesday or Thursday. We'll make sure to like every Wednesday and Thursday, we'll make sure to like show that on our socials. So make sure to follow that so you know when to watch the episodes when they're dropping. So thank you guys again. We'll see you.